And
Hold
indeed,
on,
we
don't
are
go live yet.
back. Oh, he comes back in, he sleeps in, he misses the time. And just like Team Vitality, some of whom you can see behind you, he has the picture-in-picture. He is actually cheating, just like they totally were in that one Blast tournament where Richard Lewis yelled at them. So welcome, Vu. How are you?
You ever realize you're turning into your parents? You know? You ever?
Can I tell you, I actually, yesterday at like 2 or 3 a.m., I walked to the corner store, and just by the receding hairline, I identified my father in another aisle, and then I ran out of the store. So that was my
Well, it's not that. It's it used to be that like I'd sit down, me and my dad were gonna watch a movie, and then I look over and he's sleeping, and you know I don't know if it's the couch or if it's because I'm turning into my dad, but man, when I watch ESL. Only ESL though, not Blast. Blast, I stay awake. ESL, when I watch ESL VODs on my couch,
Yeah.
I just fall asleep like that, man. Like it was that Fnatic versus Na'Vi. It was a great game, right? Arguably.
Arguably. Well, Fnatic versus NIP was a great game if you're in the fuck nip camp. So
there you go.
It's pretty solid.
As we all are.
Yeah. Why not?
Well,
no, that
shit. Team.
Listen, I just can't believe that it was 2 16-4s, that they narrowly avoided the 16-0 in Overpass. That's nuts.
So,
I think Nip, I just want to highlight something. I think Nip doesn't get nearly enough shit for all of their controversies.
Yep.
Where like people just don't bring it up. It's just been lost in the fucking weeds, man. It's just been forgotten about.
It is kind of crazy.
Nothing in PayPal. Isn't it the same owner since Nothing in PayPal? They just did some like fucking kung fu like magician shit where it's like, no, I'm actually over here. Like some shit like that. And then then they had the thing where they the sticker money. Nobody gives them any shit for that. That's never brought up. It's like a thing that's ongoing. The sticker money from the RMR, right? They didn't fucking pay people. They kept it. They're the only team that kept it. How do they have fans? How does Nip? Who the fuck is a Nip fan? I understand people were fans of the original roster. I get that. Who the fuck is a Nip fan? What is there redeeming about the Nip org, dude? I don't get it. Personally, I don't see it.
Well, that's okay, because Skriv was just telling a story about the other side of that matchup, the Fnatic side, with one of their recent additions, and he can't understand how there are fans of that either. So maybe you can give us the cliff notes there so that we can be brought up to speed.
Sure. So for the sake of the YouTube people as well, right, we'll do it a bit cleaner. But I think you'll like this food, to be fair. I don't know. I was just, on Twitter in between a game yesterday, and Roy retweeted the like little Fnatic announcement thing with his classic. I think he combined that with the baby speak thing and the smiley faces and Fantic and whatnot, and also like Black and Yellow, which is obviously a classic song and whatnot. It just, there's so much there. It was like black and yellow is what he was saying. They're black and orange, and he just pisses me off every time I see it. So I blocked him, so I don't have to see it anymore.
There you go.
Well, Nip did hire Mahone. All right, Launders has a decent point. They did hire Mahone, and I respect that. All right, they've done right by one person. That's about it.
Yeah.
Well,
respect.
Yeah, in the past, right? Just like they're Nothing in PayPal. Except not really in the past, because obviously there was the whole.
I just really think they haven't got enough shit for the RMR sticker thing. They're the
that was what I was going to bring up.
Yeah. They're the only org that didn't give their team sticker money, and it's just like just went away. It's just like, oh, it's here and then it's gone. Like,
wasn't there also
you can be a Nip fan? Sure, fine, all right. I'm just saying, I think they haven't gotten their just desserts.
Well, wasn't there also like years ago where someone just ran off with the money?
Yeah, it was a charity stream. And then I think that was the one that later on he was in some fancy car. It's not a Bugatti, but I want to call it a Bugatti. He was like, oh, I got my new car now.
I remember, I know vaguely of this. I don't even think this is related to the Nothing in PayPal thing.
No, I think it was something completely separate. Yeah.
I think that was before logo changes and shit. You know what I mean? So this is
2015 era, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. The thing about the sticker money is that, like, don't you feel like there is a high likelihood that Nock didn't get his sticker money for that 2020 year, and then they used that sticker money to replace
Isn't it confirmed everybody on their team didn't get their sticker money? But
probably. But what I'm saying is
ironic part is that
specifically,
Niko, his sticker money was used to buy his replacement. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Man?
So 2015, because I remember because this was around the time that I started getting in, and you know the Richard Lewis Darkest Timeline at Breitbart. He owed the team like, why is it in pounds? Who cares about pounds? Anyway, like £250,000.
Yeah,
you know,
British
you
people.
guys, but you know what I mean? It's a bit of, you get euros, you get dollars, but you very rarely get pounds as like the standard currency. But yeah, I remember because they, per Lillyfeth, per Lillyfelth. And I remember Thorin had a field day with that one. Well, yeah, who now? Because I think he did get, but he was the CEO. So Nip's had some real shit, dude.
Their legacy is almost as storied as Forrest and Get Right. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Impressive, honestly. Yeah. Well, this turned into a fuck Nip segment real quick.
Listen, man, you're allowed to be a Nip fan if you want to be a Nip fan. It's just like, what is there redeeming to like about the Nip org? I don't really see it personally. They're Swedish. I guess if you're Swedish and you didn't start watching until after 2015 or 2016, then maybe has Nip been better than Fnatic since 2016?
No, maybe for like periods of rotating players around or whatever, but I don't.
If you're Swedish and you've been watching CS for the last 6 months, all right, Fnatic doesn't even exist, and you can be a Nip fan.
But even then, they're immediately better now that they do exist again. So
I'm not sure if this is a sustainable scenario.
I don't know, man. I don't like this Nip team. You know, it's kind of sad. Like Brolin and Rez, to bring it into esports, right? They look very good. We like these players, but I don't know, bro. Hampus, I can get behind. I like his personality. I am a big fan of the story of Hampus and whatnot, but. Yeah, Orpin, obviously, like beating a dead horse, and they have been a bit shagged, as we would say in the UK, by what's happened. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I think that they need some serious moves. But where do you go, Swedish talent-wise? I don't know. I think they dropped the ball, maybe not bringing in and taking a chance on some of these Nip youngsters, or young ninjas in it. But like, yeah, I don't know, man. I just think that. They had a nice little run with their potential and all this sort of stuff ahead of the Stockholm major. Disappointed, and every time you give them a bit of an inch and a bit of hope and all this, they kind of disappoint. Well, now I feel like we know what to expect, and I might see them really check out in going into this major, to be honest with you. So, and then making some serious moves.
Well, aren't they just like a slightly worse version of Heroic in that sense, where like you give them a little bit of props and say, yeah, you guys got this. You guys are a legit tier 1 team, and then they just flounder and fail at the games that matter. Except like I guess Nip flounders and fails even when it doesn't matter. But the point I'm making is just that it doesn't. This team could have been so much more. The promise was Device is going to give us what we need. He's going to help take us to the promised land alongside some solid pieces. Then they get Brolin in, and you think, well, if Device ever comes back, this will be great. But from 30% net loss to 100% match loss to now 100% Device loss, it's over for Nip, I think. So I just don't get where they even go from here. So
yep. Unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would like to highlight is people always do talk about their PGL Stockholm run, and they weren't they very close to not making it? Yeah, they were. I'm looking at the game right now at Stockholm. They almost choked to Copenhagen Flames. They actually Copenhagen.
They had to do it in overtime on Ancient.
Copenhagen Hames, man. They were up by quite a bit, right? And then they choked because they were like in the big moment, and NIP just kind of capitalized. Like, I think actually they should have gotten knocked out at Stockholm. And if you take that away, they haven't really done a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it was a little bit like the old classic Richard Lewis at the time. I think it was more hype going into the tournament rather than the tournament
into
itself.
Stockholm. Yeah.
I guess they still had Device then. I thought they I didn't realize there's still a device at that point. I thought there was. I'm remembering this as closer to now than it is because I just
one of their
realized
best.
now that it's
Yeah.
August and I make fucking YouTube videos, which means I've
Yeah,
forgotten
yeah,
that
no, I know,
nearly
yeah.
a year has passed.
Well, the positive side of that is that like some of their best results have been without device, so maybe it doesn't matter as much. But it still is pretty fucking like that's like really reaching for a silver lining when it was like such an
Well,
expensive move.
I did see the Smooya HLTV interview where he was going on about how well they did with device, and that's I don't know. My memory's not good enough to remember how well they did with the device. I remember exactly what you're saying, which is like
Right.
feels like they almost did better without him. But Smooya was banging on, man.
Well,
He
I
was
feel
going
like
on.
it's also just people sort of assume in a way, and then it's really strange because it's like the AWPing canyon that they have now is a pretty obvious thing to sort of point towards, you know. It like harkens back to me where I think I mentioned maybe on one of our previous episodes where it was like a big 3K from Esatag to open the round. They not even won it, and he's sort of like shaking a bit with elation. I read it as that anyway. It might, you know, have been something else because he had finally had a round where he had a big impact on the AWP and everything, and that just feels so off.
I hope you're reading too much into this.
Probably.
That's reality. That's a
Probably.
very grim reality.
Well,
I mean,
I got a 3K.
I like to paint the narrative myself, you know, or whatever it is that commentators do.
You are really kind of painting the picture of exactly why I'm sorry, but I don't rate the Stockholm final that highly, because when you have no competent opper, sorry, Amanek, it's very hard for you to play against teams that have good oppers. They can just lock you down, and then your riflers can't get shit done because their op feels like he's completely free and he can just do whatever he wants. And then, you know, it makes it very hard.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if Device was on that team, it would be a whole different ballgame, I feel like, you know, but here we are.
Well, don't you remember way back in the Blast, one of the showdowns from that around that era when G2 was still rocking Amanek? And because they basically had no opper, like Lin Vision were doing some crazy shit to them and threatened the 2-0 upset. Like on Inferno, it looked pretty solid, and G2 had to basically like figure out how to play the map without an op. Basically, like that stuff is just really wild to me that even existed as a tier 1 team. So tier 1, right? And that's sort of what you're saying is that final like bit shambolic, bit like maybe it was too easy. Maybe the time travel land crew were right to say that 2015 Fnatic could have beaten 2021 Navi, you know?
All I'm saying is that Niko was the MVP of that major. Fucking fight me at LAN. I will throw fists about this, all right? Niko was the MVP. He goes into the fucking major final with a 1.55 rating or some shit as a rifler, carrying his dog shit team, okay? And then he goes on to the fucking final with no opper, and the only round they can win on Nuke on T side is him hard carrying and just running through smokes and killing everyone. That's some MVP shit, okay? Simple. Sorry, man. Backseat. Second. You can get a fucking second MVP. Runner up.
Second MVP. But yeah, should we talk about Pro League?
He didn't miss. God. Fuck. I don't want to talk about it.
You don't want to talk about those
Yeah,
bullets?
I've memory hold the final. He did. I think the other map on Ancient, he also didn't do that great in the final. But you know what? I just have memory hold the whole final. The whole final was a fucking write-off. Fuck the final. The other team was way too much better. It's not even fair. Forget that even happened. Going into the final, was he the MVP? Then he was the MVP. All right, that's how it goes.
Okay. Reasonable.
Well, I suppose it is one of those, isn't it? The classic MVP argument. Like, do you value the whole tournament? Sometimes they seem to, but for a major, it'd be very odd. I think it would be very odd to not have an MVP based on the performance in the final.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I went back recently and looked at old HLTV MVPs, and it feels like over time they've gotten more reasonable at giving the MVP to not just like the winning team. I feel like I haven't done the math, but I looked back and it was like they ranked Simple like 9th in 2016 or something, and it's like his team just wasn't good enough, and it was like, but he was like the 4th best player or 3rd best player, and it's but he just didn't have the team success, and I feel like they went away from that now, which is nice to see. But you know, there might be an asterisk next to all your favorite MVPs. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
All your favorite MVPs.
Listen, man. This is just like I don't go on a lot of podcasts, so what I do here is I just I don't even remember all of the things that I think. I just know that I think some things, right? So I just remember that I was annoyed at the way they were ranking players in like 2016. And so I'm just like, let me get that out so everyone can know that I'm vaguely annoyed about this one thing here. Or like, it goes, and I don't have the full thought. I just have the emotion behind the thought that I'm able to convey,
Do you feel like maybe there's more to be upset about these days than just MVP rankings? Maybe team rankings? Maybe the fact that
I don't think. Listen, man, this is what I'm going to be upset about. People talking about the HLTV team ranking and Astralis being third. First of all, listen, man, I'd take basically the whole fucking top 10 over Astralis, okay? Yep. But it's not unfair for them to be fucking third. It's just the way the cookie crumbles, okay? This is the way shit went down, man. They had a couple of fucking lucky performances, okay? They had a couple of performances that were good, then shit's fallen off. It's not HLTV's fault, all right? You can disagree with the way HLTV does the ranking, okay? But this isn't some fucking gotcha, like, oh my god, they're third, this proves HLTV fucking blows. It's not some fucking gotcha, okay? It's just the way the ranking works when you use a number system to rank it instead of using a human. And I do agree that having some human intervention would be optimal, but if you look at Thorin's ranking, nobody looks at Thorin's ranking. That's the fucking thing. So you can tell which one the people have voted. They want HLTV's ranking with its flaws because, and I agree, it is sometimes fucking annoying that people are like, well, it's just an algorithm, so it's better. It's just done by the stats. This is a top 10 based on stats. I agree with that to some extent, but at the same time, to be honest, I don't really watch. I don't even know if Thorin does his rankings anymore. So
no, he doesn't. There you go. That's it. They're not even available as another source. But here's the thing about there's a Thorinism. Here's the thing about rankings. Okay, what I really don't understand about the HLTV side is that if we're gonna say that like they're like really important, like Snappy let loose that, and this is something that a lot of people have known behind the scenes anyway, but I can say it now because he actually said it on the show, that HLTV rankings for teams are actually performance bonuses in contracts sometimes, to the point where you are getting money for getting high placements.
Oh, is that why EG's making $30K a month? Because they got a map up.
Because complexity upset Navi at a best of one, so now they're the 30th in the world. So shit like this is like, if this is real, if this is like something
no, I've heard this
before.
This is for sure. Yeah. This is for sure. I've heard this from a bunch of people. I just haven't. It's like not something that comes to my mind often.
Imagine Zipix counting the cash for all of the no work. Hey
man, listen. One thing that annoys me. All right, I'm just gonna put this out there. Okay, I feel like listen. Obvious bias aside, okay, I feel like I come up with some takes that are ahead of its time, okay? For example, I was talking about how Zipnix was shit for a while, and everyone was like, oh no. They were like pearl clutching about Zipnix not being a bad player, okay? And he was fucking abysmal for a while. And then it's like everyone's finally turning the page. All I can see here on the next page, it says Zipnix sucks. But actually, we're on the page past that, where Zipnix is actually kind of competent again. It's the same thing with the Niko thing. I made a fucking video on Niko being potentially the MVP of the major. Didn't even say he definitely was. I was just like, I think he was one of the most valuable players, was one of the best by the way, Niko at the major was one of the best major runs ever, even if you think Simple was better. I said that, everyone was like, you fucking dumbass, you don't know what you're talking. You should see the fucking comments on that video I made. They were so negative, it was crazy. And then like 2 weeks later, everyone was like, Niko really was the MVP of that major. I really think he was so fucking good. I love Niko. And then by the time the whole community turns onto the Niko page, then he had like a downswing for like 2 months where he was kind of mediocre, and everyone was like, no, but Niko's the best player in the world. I argue he's the best. It's like they're living it 3 months ago, because what they have to do is they have to watch the one podcast they watch every fucking 6 months. Once they watch it, they're like, my opinion has totally changed now. I agree with everything they said. And then they just say that for the next 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever. Then they watch the next one. I watch the next one. They're like, "Oh my god, the narrative has changed. Niko sucks now." And then he's on like an upswing, but you're like, "But Niko sucked." In the last time I watched the podcast, it does annoy me a little bit. Okay, to be honest, because Zipnix, I personally think Zipnix recently has been competent. I think he's been holding his own weight. He's not amazing, but I think he's been doing his job. And he did save them from getting knocked out of the RMR qualifier. Because I'm going to tell you, I watched all those fucking RMR qualifiers every time I could get an IP with Astralis, because I watch and I fucking prey on their downfall. I want them to lose worse than I wanted anybody to lose in my life. And this is someone, I promise you, I was an Astralis fan in 2013 when their core was on fucking Copenhagen Wolves, because they played the most fucking beautiful. I literally described it as beautiful in 2013 because I'm a fucking nerd, okay? It was amazing. They flashed every angle. Their utility usage was fucking crazy. They never fucking cleared. They were perfect. They played like perfect CS, okay? I fucking want this team to lose worse than anything I've ever wanted in my entire fucking life. So I watched all those fucking RMR qualifiers, okay? And Zipnix 1v4'd on T-side. They literally had one T-side round win on Inferno over 10 rounds. They were literally about to lose. He 1v4s and they get put on eco and they win the game. Did Glaive fucking call Zipnix to 1v4? Is that why he did it? That's how they won 2 T-side rounds to win the game? It's because Zipnix 1v4'd? Fucking hell.
It was a mid-round call by Blame F, obviously. So.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe Zip... I feel like making no roster moves for that team is pretty smart. I can kind of get on board with it. Yeah, well, I don't know where you go is the big thing, right? So there's the practical aspect. It'd be like go get heroic players or go get device back, but can you really do that? Like, probably not, right? And then also they are
they get device back.
They're sinking cash. They are sinking cash. I mean, they've got to get to a point with like if they are going to bring device back, if it is the plan, if it's part of some long-term thing, they have to wait and wait until they absolutely need to, you know, if that's because they could, right? But it is a PR angle, and I think that like you said about Nip, where it's kind of people forget a little bit about, you know, the controversies and the missteps and things like that from a business aspect. Like 12-year-olds don't give a shit, you know what I mean? Like the general demographic. But if you like pick up a player that you sold that everyone was like, you shouldn't have sold, not everyone, but people, again, who are fans of the team are like, you shouldn't have sold him, or are fans of the esport, like the general demographic, you don't want to be taking L's and ratios and shit, right? So I think that's actually something that Astralis would give a fuck about over...
I don't think it's Astralis. I think it's Nip that would care. I think Astralis would be like, that would be the biggest PR fucking move ever. They'd be like, oh, he wanted back. Oh, he begged to be back.
I mean, maybe the legend. If you can find the spin, of like, the return of the problem is you can't return to the king because that was Henry G. But you know what I mean, like,
I don't think Nip would allow him to go for any cheap price, and Astralis isn't paying shit. I was gonna say, do you know Rick Grimes from fucking The Simpsons? The Rick Grimes thing where he's like ends up killing himself, electrocuting himself because I'm Homer Simpson. I just fall face first into success. I'm the dumbest person alive, but I can do anything and it works out. That's Astralis, okay? They literally just keep falling face first into success, but not the team, the players. I mean, the org. Okay, it is the shit. It is in contention with Nip for the shittest org. Okay, and they just like, it's just like rumors. Device wants back on Astralis, and it's like, can they stop getting away with it? Like, how are they so fucking lucky? It's insane. Oh, Jesus.
I think the problem is that it seems like from everything that's been circulated, that Device initially made the move to Nip, not predicated on career thoughts mostly. We'll say that much, right? So it's like, if his motivation was extrinsic to the game, and that's why he made the move to Nip, and then he's got no success, and he's going through the mental rigmarole and all that, and now who knows where he's at, where his head's at, but he's like grinding FPL sometimes and blah blah blah. Okay, great, right? But now we have to get to a point where he has to assess his career. And it does seem awfully strange to think that, Device is going to go back to Astralis, because why would you want to go back to that org? Why would you want to, like, okay, maybe you want to reunite with some of the players. Do you really think that roster has as much potential as some of the others? I mean, now joke is now he can say it's a top 3 team in the world, so maybe it's fine. But like, what the fuck? Like, there's surely other destinations for him, right? Like, we
yeah,
can
I think
all day.
yeah, for sure. I think for me, the unironic, or let me see if I can angle this. I got to be able to back it, but I think the unironic sort of best move would be heroic. Maybe I don't know, man. I don't know how Cadian would do. I think if you put him onto sort of full in-game leading and not having to worry, but I think a lot of it would be on him and how his rifling would look. But I feel like if he wants a new environment, but it's all a bit soiled and all this kind of stuff, he could easily just go back to Nip. That's also something that people don't consider all that heavily.
Yeah, because all the headlines are Nip offering device to other teams.
Yeah, well, so I suppose.
Yeah,
but
I mean, maybe it is true that he could go back there, but
they need to be. I mean, maybe he has said that it's like, look, this is all tainted for me now or whatever. I don't know, but I think their team
probably doesn't want to live in Stockholm
shambles
anymore after what happened.
Well,
right?
no,
So,
exactly,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It is from like an esports and a logistic level and a team level. We can say this, that, and the other, but on a human level, it's been a very rough couple of years. You know, with pandemic, and then the world's sort of looking up, and then you hit with a truck essentially, and upended your life for someone and all this kind of stuff. So I can definitely sympathize on that level. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like for me, something like that, something that's completely fresh but still a Danish team. Maybe he joins an international team. I think this is the thing. The problem with Device is that everyone wants to get him in somewhere, and everyone wants get him back and all this. And I imagine he's inundated with offers and with chats and with you could join us and we'll give you the reins or whatever sort of vibe. And I just think that plus what's happened is very overwhelming. So I think maybe for the mental health, maybe he just ends,
Skriv with the classic, everybody asking where is Device, but nobody asking how is Device.
Let me hit you with this one. Your G2, you can get Device for free as a trade for Manesu.
Why would you ever want to swap
Yay or nay?
Monacy, though? Dude, this guy's like carrying
Device literally is one of the best oppers of all time, and there's no reason to believe that he's gone downhill.
Yeah, the reason would be that he hasn't played in forever.
No. Let me just hit you with this, okay? This is like what I don't know where this meme comes from, but it's like, well, Device is Device, but Manesi, he could be anything. He could even be another Device. Like this is this is the you know that meme, okay?
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're hoping for. To be fair, he's done really well, okay? But I just feel like it's a reasonable ask.
I don't know. Yeah, we got Vu take in the chat.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I wouldn't want to touch Monacy at this point unless it was to give him a pat on the back and say, "Hey, keep doing what you're doing, man."
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe that's what JKS
but he's so young. He's so young, and he already looks so good. I think like you got to remember that. Like other than Bit, right? Which you can't strike gold this often, but we have in the past couple years. You know what I mean? Like
I think people have gotten spoiled on Simple. Okay, if you look at any top 5 player in history, okay, I'm remembering things, and this sentence that I started might not be as true as when I thought it was when I started. Listen,
at least you caught yourself, though.
Most of the time, top players don't have the longevity that Simple does. Like most of the time, you're a top player for a few years. Usually there's some like fucking you come in and you come out. That's why Device is such an anomaly, that he's been so fucking good for so long. That's why he's like a risk. I don't know. I really don't know if I'd trade Device for Manesi. I just don't think it's a crazy question. That's all I'm saying. I that would be a toss up for me. It's a really hard decision. I probably with how hard of a decision it would be, I probably wouldn't. But
yeah, I don't think that's their
I don't
problems
think it's crazy.
either.
I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in time, but like again, I'm always the realist. Keep it 100. Like the business angle, I think they're really going to want to hang on to m0NESY for a while.
Their 600K investment.
Yeah, plus
hold on.
The recent moves that
m0NESY,
they've also just made, like, you know.
Yumi said m0NESY is too fast to expect drastic fall off in 2-3 years. The fastest hoppers always had the fastest fall offs, right? Kenny S is like fucking like a wave sign, man. He's up and down. And you've got Henny. Wasn't Henny like top 10 one year or something? He was really good for a while, and then he was really bad, and then he was really fucking good again on Furia, and then he was really bad again. Aren't all the fastest hoppers the guys that fall off like randomly? I don't know. Whatever.
I guess. I mean, I suppose from like a style perspective, you probably need to stay on top of your game, like, and on top of everyone else's game. You know what I mean? Like all the way at the top, if that makes sense. That's maybe not the best argument, but you know, like from a skill perspective, like it's hard. But this guy, man, some of the clips and some of the streams, and he's constantly learning and teaching, and yeah. I actually I'm on the m0NESY train. I'm on the m0NESY train. Like, I think as well, like some of the names that you mentioned, I know it's not your specific argument or whatever, but their teams just got kind of wacky. Henny, I would question his sort of conduct a little bit outside of game, at the very least, sort of at the peak of his, you know, career, and for me in like the Immortals squad and everything. The mindset.
Yeah,
maybe
when
really
Vu was saying Henny was good and then it was bad, you could replace that with Henny was good.
Hey, listen,
was
you know who else
brother.
is fast?
Well,
Junior's fast, okay? Just saying, okay? Junior's another fast offer, all right?
Fast to
shoots
point his
quickly.
crosshair away from players. Is that what you're trying to say?
Listen, I played Junior one time in a I think the RMR qualifier like a few years ago or something. I don't remember. And man, when you suck, he is like a god, man.
Yeah,
he dropped
yeah.
I think he almost dropped 50 on us in 30 rounds, dude. It was just like every angle. He's like, he never missed a shot. It was crazy. He didn't miss a single shot. It's insane how it works like that. He was the best player ever. I've literally, trust me. I mean, like, I'm not a fucking pro player, but I've played all the pro oppers at one point or another, and Junior was better than all of them. When playing noobs, Junior was better than all of the other pro oppers.
I mean,
there you go.
I think it can pan out like that though. It doesn't, you know, that step up to the tier 1 is massive. I feel like JDM maybe might have been like that as well. A little bit more successful at the tier 1.
JDM sucked. I'm telling you right now, JDM sucked. All right, I played him so many fucking times in pugs, and he was like grandpa. Okay, you could just peek into his angles and kill him every time. His fucking reaction times were the slowest I've ever seen. I would fucking find this guy on the map and just peek into him and kill him the 2 times I played him in pugs, but I'm going to remember that. Those two times he was terrible, okay? Skadoodle's good. All the other offers are great, okay? I just have one hate boner for JDM because he was so fucking slow, okay? That's all I'm saying.
He was lounging.
Yeah, I was going to say, so far away from the screen. You had to make sure there was an
Maybe he was just high when I played against him.
Reasonable.
It's definitely possible.
They were all on Adderall back then, right? So according to the interview with Launders, who's in the chat.
maybe
well,
a bit before that.
no, I mean, to be fair, Semphis did say it didn't help them. And then if you
It's
remember
like
back
it's playing
I'm
differently,
sorry, Corey. If you remember that line, that may not have happened if Shazam wasn't on Adderall. You know, that's all I'm saying.
But yeah, no, I remember all that around the time. It's probably when I started watching like Trash Talk. Any Trash Talk fans?
Trash Talk is a reference, we'll say.
Yeah.
Reference game incredibly on point.
Indeed. But yeah, and Richard had a fair few. He had like one expert guy or whatever, and I think the way that like, not to stay on this for too long, but I think the way that Adderall like affects you is you just focus in. Like if you don't need it, so maybe holding angles, you know, your eyes don't go as weird or whatever, like especially when you're open. But I don't think it really ups your game all that much. You're just a bit more focused. When you're a pro player playing at like a major or whatever, you're probably going to be really focused anyway. So
yeah, I mean. So the way people have described it, okay, I have been on Adderall many times because I have ADHD, okay? And it doesn't work quite the same. You know, it actually kind of like calms me down.
Yeah.
But it works differently if you don't.
Yeah.
And I've been told that basically what it does is, you know, you have those days where you like hit everything and it's just like you're just on point, you're in the zone. It gives you those days. You know, it kind of like guarantees those days. But seems likely that C9 probably took too much. Because I've taken, well, I guess it would be different. I've taken too much like Ritalin before too, and I just like became like a fucking zombie. Like I just like couldn't do anything. But I guess that would be different also. They probably just took too much, if we're being honest.
Okay.
Not
to give
really
fucking
precise.
drug taking advice. Okay,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to get nervous too. All right, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that might
better
be
to stick to caffeine. I think if you're gonna do anything.
Yeah, just stick to caffeine and energy drinks that definitely aren't killing you. For sure, energy drinks.
Hey, you could have just said black coffee. That's fine for you.
Yeah.
Besides the taste. And
esports is built on a foundation of energy drink overusage. Let's be honest.
I don't know, bro. They're putting more aspartame or as what do you guys say? Do you guys say aspartame or what?
You're talking about like Splenda or something, like some artificial sweetener?
Yeah. Because there's a way in England. Is it aspartame or some shit?
What the fuck?
Yeah, I swear.
Bro,
this is one that blew my mind. This is one that blew my mind the other day, like the other week. Capillaries.
Instead of capillaries?
Yeah. But the first time I think
heard both ways, to be
Mike
honest.
was shout out Darth Mike. He was talking about the skin. And I was like, what the fuck skin is capillary?
Oh, I see.
Because
yeah,
the 5.7.
That's like aluminium or whatever, where you guys just add an ounce.
Yeah, but I just didn't know that.
Yogurt?
Yogurt.
Shut up.
Yeah, YOGHURT.
Yeah.
Do you say? Is there an H in that word or no?
Well, you don't necessarily. It's more the start. You guys say like yogurt, and we say yog. We don't not necessarily like the hurt, but yeah, the start is definitely different. But there's quite a few like that I think are just accent based, really, like banana.
I want to tell you, listen,
tomato.
I got a gripe here. Okay, I got a gripe. I've been made fun of by dumb fucking Americans because Canadians say the word B-E-E. It's weird to say E twice in a row. B-E-E-N, bean. I pronounce it bean. People are like, excuse me, it's pronounced bin. Motherfucker, there's 2 E's in that word.
No,
How are you? Why is it pronounced bin? What is wrong with? And I've been made fun of, like, you fucking idiot. You pronounce it bean.
That's
like
funny.
Sorry. Sorry. I don't even know which way I say it. I just know that people notice it and fucking mention it. But the bean thing really fucking bakes my noodle, dude. Okay, it fucking bakes my noodle, man. It really does, because it's fucking. There's 2 E's in that word, man. There's 2 E's.
That's quite funny though, because in the UK, I'd say they're kind of interchangeable. People say bin and bean, depending on kind of where you're from. So I didn't realize it was one.
Same thing.
Say what?
I think people use both.
You say in the bin to describe NIP.
Oh, well, indeed. So. Got him. Yeah. I like in the bin. In the bin's pretty good. I use that on cast a fair bit when talking about economy.
When I was still casting back in the dark ages, my co-caster Squid was definitely somebody who taught me in the bin or whatever. So
in the garbage can.
No,
not the same.
Garbage can, not a garbage can't.
Well, there you go.
I know the Mexican version of that Vu, but I never heard the garbage one.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, American, not American.
There you go.
Yeah.
So. Should we actually talk about CS? Should we talk about
yeah, can do, right? Can do.
Yeah.
I think we maybe got like another sort of 10 minutes or so before we hit that usual sort of mark. I didn't really track where we were like, cutting bits out in the middle, so
yeah. It's about that time. We only really talked about Group C with ends with Snappy. So first of all, Vu, do you care about any of these groups more? What do you think? What
about
are
the EPL groups?
Yeah.
Listen, what I need you all to know. Wait, does this sponsorship segment have a podcast around it? Does this podcast have a sponsorship segment?
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
I'm gonna be honest, man. A lot of listen, okay. Sometimes you agree to a sponsorship opportunity, and you don't realize that you've agreed to do way too much, and then your fucking videos really are just the enclosure around which you put a sponsorship segment.
Aren't they? They're changing that as well, aren't they? Like algorithm's going to start wrecking.
Apparently, I didn't hear anything about that unless you're talking about the Neok tweet where he said the skins gambling got limited.
Oh yeah. I think that's
that what
probably
you're
where
talking
my
about?
knowledge is coming from. Yeah.
Okay, because you were scaring me for a second. Because, like,
well, I know.
for
I feel like
example-
the whole replay bar thing that they've added is a cool addition, but also I can now just look at that and skip past an ad read.
Yeah, no,
So-
that's what everyone does. I should show you my watch time. It's like starts at 100%. Obviously, that's how many people clicked on the video. And naturally, it would start at 100%, and then it drops to like 30%, and then it's back up to like somewhere between 70 and 85, depending on how good my intro was. After the ad's done, that's how it always is. So like, if I look at my channel statistics, it shows like the average view duration, and it's like this weird dip. That's how it's always been though. I also add in like you have like you can segment your video now, and
Right.
I add that in also, so like you can just skip right past the intro, which is fair. I don't have any problem with that, but it does fuck your watch time. For example, if you make an 8.5 minute video with a 1 minute ad, it's not exactly going your whole video isn't getting, and YouTube does care about that. But I was going to make a random sponsorship plug, and now it's just, it's not relevant anymore. So here we are. Underdog Fantasy, code VOO CSGO.
There you go. Well, we are still using your little YouTube.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You're in every video.
I caught that at the end of the last episode. I was rewatching it, and it's just randomly, it's the fade out, and then you just see, thanks for watching. If you like this podcast, check these videos out.
So sometimes you may notice that certain servers that are at a nearby location give you very high ping. This could be bad routing, and a VPN can help solve that. Could I be any more fucking clear? Could that be? Is there any room for ambiguity in this statement, please?
Is that how these guys are getting 5 ping, or is it just
no.
their infrastructure?
No, I think they're just near the server. I mean, I get a lot of 5 ping games because they have Seattle servers in Valve.
Right, okay.
I get a lot of Seattle servers, which you don't have that in FACEIT. You haven't had that in ESEA since like 2012. Like they've been gone from everywhere, but I get a lot of 5 pings.
I mean, I can't get under 30, so
they give you negative social credit.
I doubt there's anything in
That's fair
in the UK. So I don't know. I'm just out here. I don't even really know how VPNs work. I'm just raw dogging.
It's incredibly common. It's incredibly common on FACEIT and ESEA for whatever reason. Almost every team I've ever been on or coached has had at least one person that has had a problem with at least some servers. I remember having a notepad with like a shit ton of servers that we couldn't play because on ESEA you used to be able to, I don't know if you can still do this. You choose your server, you set the time and you choose Dallas 500, 570, whatever. So you skip all the servers you get bad routing to. It's very common, but whatever.
Yeah, and that used to be when people would start plugging their modem and be like, "Oh, I'm getting lost."
I actually use
another server.
Exit lag. Oh, apparently a lot of pros
Yeah,
use exit lag sometimes for the
What
same
the
thing.
fast?
But I used to use What the Fast. There you go. But it would disconnect randomly in the middle of the game. So if we got on one of those servers, I'd have at least one DC in the middle of a round.
Nice. All right. Pro League time.
Pro League time.
Yeah.
What are the results? Let's check it out.
Well, we got Na'Vi. Yeah.
10.
Can we just zoom in on the TV there, and then that'll be the rest of the podcast?
It's 14. Actually, it was like fucking 12-3, I think, at half or something. So, but Nip's actually coming back.
Uh-oh. They heard us. And now...
I don't think Nip is that bad. I think they need a different opper, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
and I feel like
Plotski,
I don't know, maybe you need a bitch player, but... I don't know. Since adding Roland, they've not really done much for me. Again, like that sort of disappointing angle. They're still hitting, like, it's not dreadful. And I mean, it's hard. The Fnatic one is like a bit of hopefully a flash in the pan kind of, we don't know how good Fnatic are going to be, and it's new team after the player break, all that sort of stuff. Like
Fnatic did win one map. Like, didn't they 16-5?
No, they 16-4'd them on both maps, and they
no. But okay. I thought they 16-5 Na'Vi. They won 16-14 on first map.
No,
okay.
No.
All right, I thought they destroyed Na'Vi too, and then they just lost.
Yeah, well, it was kind of it was a tough fight on Ancient. Their Ancient looks pretty good, and this is kind of the maybe remnants of like Alex being in there. I think they were okay on it when that roster was about they were pretty good on, Overpass with the Cloud9 era, some of these players. And then, yeah, I don't know. I do worry that they might run into a bit of one tricking again, to be fair, because they got clapped on the next 2 maps. So it is an RV, but it is also, I think their Ancient is really good right now, but the depth is not quite there. So, which is fair. It's early days. And Mezzi uses left click to run or whatever. I don't even know.
Who's calling on that team?
How can you even play the game like that? I like the guy. Listen, I like the guy. I've had him on for an interview a couple of times. You know what I mean? So Mezzi's calling, by the way.
Okay.
And yeah, I just, and also Fascia, they both have whack binds. Like, not even just like, I jump with shift or whatever, but like crazy shit.
Listen, I move, not with WASD, it's with WARS.
Why?
Take that.
Why?
What is the improvement?
Yeah, what?
What do you get out of it?
Next question.
That's the big thing for me. I feel like WASD it's just so well designed. Right? You got ESDF is maybe. I've heard about this.
You want to see my keyboard?
Here we go.
Yeah, the Ergo, but still.
Well, but listen, the WE, like the R, is the R going right? R for right? You just wanted it to match?
R is for back.
What? R is for back?
I can't. Yeah. I can't.
So wait,
my only wacky one is like Z to drop. Or Z, sorry.
Bomb. I have bomb on 7. And if you notice with this keyboard, 7 is exceptionally far away.
Yeah, that is very far away. So you don't have to carry the bomb. It's a genius move.
Well, what I have is I have caps lock. By the way, pro tip, caps lock. It pulls out my knife and then pulls out the bomb, drops the bomb, pulls out my pistol, pulls out my main gun. When the pulling out the knife thing is so that you don't drop your gun if you don't have the bomb. So if I'm in spawn and someone drops me the bomb, caps lock, dropped instantly, just fucking instantly gone. Bomb not in my hands, so I don't even have to hit 7. I just caps lock gone, caps lock gone, caps lock gone. Get fucked.
Well, the only problem then is you have to hit it twice. You can't just leave caps lock on in the middle of a game. Like,
well, yeah, actually, okay. So the real reason I use War is because I use a Colmac layout. Because LP Kane had get Colmac in his bio, and one time I was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to change my keyboard layout. It's a different keyboard layout. Instead of QWERTY, it's Colmac. And what Colmac does, the best thing that Colmac does, and I highly recommend this, even if you use QWERTY to do this, caps lock is no longer caps lock. It operates as backspace. So you backspace with caps lock. And it is insanely fucking convenient. You can never go back. If I go back to QWERTY, I'm changing caps lock.
I could get on that. I could get on the.
It's fucking great.
Well, if you think about it, backspace
the amount
and
of
delete
times,
are right next to each other. Yeah.
The amount of times that I have hit enter instead of backspacing, and then I've sent half a message, even in like, a Twitter DM for a bit of business. It's got to be. I just don't hire me. You know what I mean? It's got to be one of the most embarrassing.
I will admit.
things.
Listen, I will admit. I'm not trying to sell people on Colmac. Okay, I maybe increase my word per minute by like 10 or 15. Maybe I can type a bit longer without getting fatigued, which is what I wanted, because on QWERTY I would get fatigued in my forearms really fucking quick, but you have to move a little bit less. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not worth fucking 3 weeks of barely being able to press buttons on your keyboard. But the backspace is really cool.
Also,
I would do that.
What are you typing? Do your hands float? Is this the?
What do you mean?
I've never been fatigued on my keyboard.
No, I guess, I don't know. You move your fingers enough, your forearm. I also type at like 160 word per minute, so it might be like.
Okay, well that's probably.
Typing, I'm just moving my fingers so much.
I can maybe hit 100. 160 is impressive. I can maybe hit like 100. And I have a mechanical keyboard and shit as well, so you'd feel like I should be into it.
To type normally, like my fingers get in the way of where your fingers are supposed to go. If I try and type on like the home row thing, my fingers block the other fingers because I'm fucking 6'7". I have huge hands.
Yeah.
Like I think my hands are too big. Yeah.
Do you know what a shovel is?
So, I'm aware of what a shovel is. I'm assuming you mean it in a different context.
No,
I've dug a hole before.
Yeah. I just feel like that's.
Don't you guys me about in the middle of the?
Don't you guys say
night?
Spade? Or is that the
No.
one that I'm... Do you guys know
Well,
what
I mean, we
spade
use-
is?
I think that's a type of shovel. That's a shovel with a pointed tip.
No.
Oh, okay. That I did not know.
I don't know how I know that. It's just like fucking knowledge coming from the ether, man. This is
So it's
just,
like a shovel
I'm plucking it
square,
out
I
of the air,
guess?
dude.
I guess a shovel square.
I have
I've
a square
totally just
shovel.
derailed this conversation.
There are square shovels. Yeah, there are square shovels.
Because it's literally
Listen,
just
let me show you. Let me show you what a shovel looks like.
Here we go.
Okay,
He's
Jesus.
gonna go grab one out of his.
But it's
fucking-
literally just a saying like in the UK that, you know, he's got hands like shovels.
See, this
So.
is a spade right here. You see that? That's like it's got the tip. And I don't know what the fuck this is, but it's like a scoop. I don't know. It's like long. I don't know.
That's usually
I really
the two designs, though. I mean,
He's gone.
he's
He
not got his
doesn't have-
headphones on.
He doesn't even. He can't hear us at all.
Oh god.
That one still had dirt on it though. That's pretty suspicious.
Well,
For some reason, we have 4 spade shovels right next to each other. I don't know why we need 4 of them. Fucking crazy.
It looked like
Spade
one
is
of the
flat.
spade one had a bit of dirt on it. You make a burial recently, or what's going on?
Okay, maybe I got it wrong. Someone said spade is flat. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I just,
You
whatever.
just happen to
Alright.
have them in your.
I think
right
this
next door?
one. It makes sense. A spade is the tip because a spade in cards is tipped, right?
I don't know.
I guess so.
I don't know.
I guess so. I don't play poker
Maybe.
enough.
That's kind of
That's,
yeah.
that's
you
your
would have thought.
venue.
This was
Alright,
about
this-
CS at one point.
This was about
Anyways.
Counter Strike.
Now,
This is how
now
we
it
thought
is
it was
gardening.
made,
I hear those
right? Now
gardening
this is
YouTube channels do
transition.
quite well. So
Here's your transition. Cut. We'll cut. Call a spade. Let's call a spade a spade. Vitality needs change, or I don't know what the fuck you want to say. But this is Pronogo's moment. Call a spade. Go.
Let's call a shovel a shovel. This vitality
You fucking
roster needs.
suck at this, man. You are the worst. You are the worst.
I don't know, bro. I wanted to talk about Pro League like 45 minutes ago. God almighty, I don't know.
Let's call
how
a
long
spade a
ago.
spade. Nobody cares about CS. Okay.
That is true. They care way more about
No.
keyboards and shovels.
Yeah.
By the way, do you guys know the Talk and Counter podcast is still going? It's on. It's
No,
on
I-
episode 6. I
Goddamn.
tweeted about it, and everyone's like, "What the fuck? I've never heard of that."
Yeah.
No, episode 5. Okay, so it's done
Still.
5 episodes.
Pumping them out.
It's good. It's a really entertaining podcast. They
Of
don't do
course.
nearly as much fucking complaining as I like to do, but that's that's a
they're-
different story.
I mean, I guess we very rarely get to see them sort of laid back. I only listened to
you
like
have
10
to
minutes of
find
the
it
first
on,
one. I
on
gotta go.
Spotify, I think. You got to
Yeah,
find it on.
yeah.
I don't think they do it on YouTube, which is why
I'd say
nobody
even
fucking
like,
sees it.
you know, HLTV confirmed for Sponge is relatively structured. So, you know, I feel like it's good to just, and Moses especially, I think is a great like podcast guest. And Yanko, I don't know that he's ever really been heavily involved in one, right? Like on a consistent basis, other than being on the odd, you know, episode of something here
Didn't
or there.
Thorn and him have a podcast for a little bit?
I don't know if it was them together, but they appeared on Counterpoints a few times.
Yeah, he definitely like makes appearances, but
Yeah.
in terms of a consistent thing.
I
So it's
thought
cool,
they
man.
might have
Everyone and
had
their
one,
mother
like-
be making podcasts. So I
Okay.
think that's good for the scene.
I was thinking of Stratbook that he has with
It
some
was
guy
Tabson.
that nobody
Oh.
cares with.
Yeah.
Oh, was it Tabson? It wasn't Tabson.
Oh no, was it? Who would have been? It was somebody from Big.
Yeah, it's definitely someone from Big. It's Legia.
Legia,
There you go.
yeah.
Oh, Legia, yeah.
Yeah.
How could I forget? How could I confuse?
A
them?
Valorant
Yeah, it was-
dude now, I think.
For some reason, he thought that was Yanko. Whatever. Anyways, moving on.
It's an easy mistake to make. I mean,
Moving on.
Moving on, dude. What do you actually think of Vitality though? Since you name dropped them earlier.
I don't know. Like
Bad?
the thing is, you've got these big names come from Astralis, and if I made a large point of this a while back that Magisk was one of the worst performing players on Astralis before Device left. By the way, I meant to say this a while back, but this is why I cut in a lot, because if I don't say it, I absolutely forget it. I thought Device when he left Astralis was like getting off the fucking Titanic. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
genuinely, I don't think he left just because of a relationship. I don't really believe that narrative. I think he could have moved to Sweden, and Astralis either they're the worst org in history, arguably they are, but either they're just completely foot in their mouth, fucking dumb as fuck, or they would have let him not go to every boot camp and live in Sweden. You know, they would have like accommodated that a little bit. I think he was kind of getting off the Titanic. And Magisk, I remember going over this. Magisk, like he was the pit player on Inferno, and there was like a full 4 or 5 month period where he almost never got a kill, or he would only ever get one and die. He would never over deliver and get 2 kills. It was 1 and done or 0. That was the only thing he did. He was really underperforming. And I don't know how listen, it's possible that the stats are gonna like make me look like a fucking idiot, but I don't think he's been performing that well. Like amazingly on Vitality.
Yeah, maybe not amazingly. I think that's why they bring Spinks in though. I
think with Spinks is gonna be good. I think Spinks is exactly what they need.
That's, I like where they're at, but I still think there's another move to be made. We've talked about this a little bit before in general terms. Like, I think there's still another move to be made. Apex, see what he could really bring. I actually like the angle of getting rid of him, Dupree on the supportive angle, Magisk maybe in-game leading, probably in-game leading if Apex is going to go, and then maybe you pick up another French player, but I don't know at this point. It seems like they're pretty sold on trying to win tournaments rather than trying to be French. So...
those two things don't go together.
Yeah, not anymore. Not for a while.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing about this roster so far to me is that like the Danish angle was supposed to come in and be really revolutionary or what have you. At least like a really nice injection of veteran status, of like people that you might be able to rely on in a new system. Obviously, you were talking, Vu, earlier about Magisk being subpar during his time with Astralis and the whole Titanic sinking ship analogy. But so far, it doesn't really feel like they've landed on their feet at all. It feels like they really tripped and stumbled quite a bit on the Danish side specifically. While, maybe you can argue Masuda wasn't putting up numbers, but I don't know. I mean, maybe this is revisionist, but I don't know if he was the biggest name issue. It's just that they spent so much time and money, and also the interworkings within the team are like, obviously you're not going to cut one of the Danish people because they are basically a majority at this point nationality wise. So
yeah,
like, you can't really replace them.
I think this is a team. I don't know if you guys saw Zonic's interview on HLTV, but this is a team that I think I would give them a lot of time. I think if we look at teams recently, some teams that have come up and done really well recently have been teams that kind of stuck around for a while. FaZe has been around with 4 of the 5 for quite a while, right? I mean, if you look at Cloud9, Gambit, they've been around for quite a while, right? Like, I think teams stick around for a while. Movistar Riders did really well. They stuck. I mean, that was mostly on individual performance, arguably. But there's a lot of teams that have stuck around for a while and done well. And I think this is one of the teams that could stick around for a while and do well. I think it's a big fucking change. It's a massive change to go from what Zonic is probably used to, which is, again, the Astralis core was incredibly coordinated before they were ever on Astralis. You go from that type of framework where everyone is on the same page, everyone does everything right, to French CS and Danish CS, which are like as opposite as you can get, unless you brought in a North American somewhere in there. It's going to take a while. I'd give them some time personally. I think that 5 on paper is amazing.
An interesting angle Snappy gave us earlier in the show was when he said that, like, I was asking him if the reason why Valde's communication impressed him so much, because it's something that he said when they were doing tryouts, that Valde calmed really well. I was asking him if that was because he did IGLing on North, if he was, sort of acting as a secondary caller or whatever, if he flirted with the idea. He knows what a captain wants as far as information relay is concerned. And then what he said was, maybe, but most likely it's just because he's Danish, and Danish people have really good comms. That's something that they stress, I guess, in the come up there. And I don't know, it kind of makes sense. They have a lot of infrastructure. Before the evil Hunden saga, obviously he was responsible for bringing up a lot of people.
Hashtag Hunden did nothing wrong.
Yeah, except for all the things that he did do wrong.
Yeah. Hashtag I had a channel, Olaf did nothing wrong, and I genuinely believed it. And then I had a channel, Hunden did nothing wrong, and that was more of a meme. But I do think there's a reality, there's a potential world in which Hunden didn't do that many things wrong, okay? Not that he did nothing wrong, okay? I just think he, it may be overstated how many things he did wrong, okay? He might look worse than he was. I'm not sure if that's this reality. Maybe we don't live in that world, but I'm just saying I'm saying that I could imagine a scenario where other than the cheating part, the rest of it wasn't heinous, is the way I would put it. Maybe it's not like nice, but it's like trying to save your ass after you fucking accidentally killed someone, or whatever.
Yeah, well, the initial crime still seems pretty heinous. And then obviously on top of that, he's still working actually. So
hella other coaches also did the same thing, right? So
Yeah, well, Astralis have got a penchant for it. You know what I mean? Their new Astralis talent, they're called, picked up a coach that also has been ESIC banned.
I mean, I could break down my Hunden my Hunden theory, but I've broken it down before. If you want to see my Hunden theory, I don't know when I talked. Maybe I talked about it on Elo Heaven. I don't know when it
probably
happened,
yeah. It was when it was still fresh in people's minds.
Yeah, I talked about the Hunden theory a while back. I think it's possible. Okay, it's possible he's not as evil as he's made out to be. That's all I'm saying.
It's either malintent or he's just ignorant. Like either way.
Well, I mean, listen, all right, now we gotta get it. Just a quick rundown. The one thing I'll say, he sent something to Astralis. He sent the scrapbook to Astralis. If you were Hunden, and he claims that Heroic owed him like 200 grand, like in prize money, they hadn't paid him. If you're Hunden, they won't let you leave, but they owe you 200 grand. What would you do? Well, you'd just leave, because if they owe you money, they've already broken the contract. Yeah. But if you weren't going to do that, one thing you might do is send your strat book in like intimate information to a competitor team. You might send it knowing that they'll see that, because it tells you that a new person has been added to the fucking strat book, to the Google Doc. Knowing that they're going to get that and think that they might then just kick you because you're literally sharing it with the competitor. And you might even, so that it's not because you don't want to actually share it, you just want to get fired, you even send it to someone that you know doesn't fucking matter. And even you might even know they're on vacation, so they're never even going to fucking see it. You might do that. That is not like, that's dumb. Admittedly, it's dumb. But you could see a person that's dumb enough to think that was a good idea doing that. And I think, given Hunden, everything we know about Hunden, it's possible he is that dumb and he did that just to get fired because they owed him money. I think it's possible. I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
I feel like that was the meme before Tricked and their success, right? That Hunden was a bit of a shit player.
Well, they called him God Hunden for a reason, and it wasn't because he was a god. So.
Indeed. At the same time,
gets me about
if he is silly with that, and he is a bit dumb, I don't think you can really involve him in high-level Counter-Strike if he's doing stuff like that, because he thinks if he can come in from a logical perspective and he's like, this is the correct play, the correct move at this time for my career is to
he was probably be emotional.
Put my
I wouldn't say he's
he's
being logical.
I suppose.
I wouldn't.
I suppose
it would be like, fuck these guys. They owe me 200 grand. Fuck them. Fuck these guys.
You have to see reason, though. You have to be like,
this to someone with an Astralis email.
That's not the way to get your 200 grand.
I'm not saying this is what happened.
No, I know. It's all.
Just said I'm not going to get my money. I just want out of my contract. Well, here's the way to get out of my contract. Just share the fucking strat book. I'm not saying this definitely happened. I'm just saying I could see this could have happened. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's still a very shitty thing to do, though. I don't think it absolves of anything.
Yeah, the more premeditated aspect is when he was fucking with Niko, trying to get a confession, and that he's gone past that. Now he's working with Astralis, but pretending he's a bartender.
All I'm saying. Let me say one thing, okay? If he thought Niko was his friend, maybe he was taking advantage of him a bit. But if you read the messages, he did say the words, "Heroic can't take another shitstorm like this." Just admit it, and they'll like back down. I don't know how manipulative he was being if he literally says, "Heroic can't take the shitstorm if this gets out." He just said basically what in that message he's saying directly what he's going to do. He said he's going to create a shitstorm around this, and Heroic won't they'll back down. That's what he's saying. He's being pretty upfront about it. Maybe, shouldn't have gone after Niko, but maybe Niko was close. I don't want to make the case for Hunden here. I'm just saying it's not cut and dry as everyone makes it out to be. Okay, that's all I'm saying. How manipulative can you be if you say directly what you're going to do?
I just feel like there's kind of a line in places,
Let's just move on, okay? I'm just saying it's not as cut and dry that he's like this fucking evil fucking mastermind. Maybe he's just like kind of not the greatest guy and an idiot. It's possible.
But maybe that is the evil mastermind behind it all. when he takes off the mask. And
I feel like
it was Hunden the whole time behind the mask.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It could very well be that this was all an evil master plan. You know, nobody
didn't end up too well for him, I think. But I mean, maybe he's making loads of money.
You know what worked for? Fucking Homer Simpson. I mean, Astralis. It worked out perfectly for Astralis.
Yeah.
All right.
No, what gets me is that it's really hard to imagine he's dumb, but also really intelligent with specifically building up rosters and making like scouting talent and stuff. That's something he's inarguably talented at, as a coach, as a manager, as a whatever. Like even when he was just an IGL and stuff, like he knew how to scout people. And so it does kind of suck that the same person who is really good at doing that is also really good at being a dick. Because if that wasn't the case, then we would have, just more talent in the space. Probably it would be better for the scene, but. Here it is. So,
what would Astralis look like if Hunden was never banned? This is the question. Maybe they never would have made the lucky faux pas. Maybe they would have gone straight for, I don't know.
Well, we still don't know why Lucky was given so much time on that roster, or why he was indeed picked up to begin with at all. I mean, for all we know, maybe Hunden was behind that move behind the scenes anyway. He's like whispering to them from the shadows in an unofficial capacity.
He was a tricked player.
That's what I'm saying.
Bada bing.
Yeah, I will say one thing.
And it all falls together.
It's a gripe I have with, not really with Thorin, but a little bit with the way I think like By the Numbers frames it. Because Thorin on By the Numbers always talks about how like, why don't teams like get players that are in contract and they just like, here, after your contract is over, I'll give you half your signing bonus. I don't know if this is directly what Thorin's saying, but it's similar. Like, I'll give you half the signing bonus, or I'll give you half the buyout as a signing bonus. Just wait out your contract, then we'll buy you. That is something Astralis has done, and that could have been like a plan for why they had Lucky. Maybe they were waiting out someone else's contract or something, right? Astralis is the only team that is publicly known of that does this, where it's like they got Blame F and Config that way. It's just like wait out your contract, we'll buy you out, we'll pay you out
as well, right?
I think they got Esatag out like that too, didn't they? From
Heroic originally.
Yeah, I mean that's one smart business dealing they've done. And you have to give them credit for that. Just the gripe I had with like By the Numbers about that is like they shit on Astralis. It almost feels like they shit on Astralis for that exact thing somehow.
Yeah, but like
maybe I'm just misunderstanding. Whatever.
I don't know.
It's probably because this is supposed to be a great org. They've got all the legacy, and they keep talking PR wise that they're really trying to make everything work. And they have this 20,000 man roster that they're going to deploy, and it's going to be the population of Denmark. But the end result is that they always suck. And then So like that's probably the main reason is that like they're trying to put a PR spin on something that even if it is a good move, it's like if you say outright what it is, it's going to undermine confidence.
I would like to know what's happening behind the scenes because I have to imagine, okay, I think maybe Lucky could have been better than he was if Glaive didn't, like his very first tournament, just tell him not to opt, and then just Glaive started opting.
Yeah.
I would say that probably fucked with his confidence a little bit, or you could argue it probably fucked him up a little bit.
It's the same as when they tried to get Bubsky in the roster because, they just, the first few tournaments, they just really did not know what they. Yeah. And it felt like maybe it's a decision from the org that it's like, we got to make a move or whatever, and then
this could be a protest by Glaive. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Glaive did go on HLTV confirmed and literally say Bubsky is too aggressive and not ready for the main lineup.
Well, people do
what the fuck
shit a little bit too aggressively on HLTV confirmed sometimes because Blade did literally just say, by the way, Flamey's fucking trash. Sometimes it leaks out on HLTV confirmed, man. The back massage you get really just primes you to say shit you're not supposed to say.
The truth just falls out of your face. Yeah,
that's funny though. I mean, that is funny. I'd be really curious in the, probably not for like another 10 years or whatever, but if we get some of the it all comes out type vibe, because they were locked into contracts, couldn't get time off, had to get doctor's notes. This is maybe the way, in a sense, that Glaive or whatever could indeed,
if I actually did it, vibe type of book.
Because it's weird, isn't it? Because obviously you still want to win tournaments and things like that, but it's like, this is not the move that I wanted. Maybe they wanted Farley ahead of time. Maybe they felt like they didn't 6-man rosters. Everyone's doing it. Let's get a 6-man roster. And it's like, no, we should focus on the 5 that we have, etc. So I'd be very curious to know like how those types of decisions are made. And it's funny
now
because
back to Pro League.
Yeah, we started this conversation talking
Yeah.
about vitality, talking about dangerous communication.
I just remember, you wanted to talk about Pro League. Nip did just lose. I mean, Nip did just
my god.
Nip did just lose on Nuke. Now we're on to Vertigo, which I definitely won't watch. Let me turn.
That was a close one, actually. That was a close
kill
one.
the TV. We can't be looking at Vertigo.
Yeah,
Vertigo.
Fuck Vertigo podcast.
Can we talk about why Vertigo is still in the map pool? Actually, Vu, you weren't here for the whole map pool discussion.
We did a couple in a row.
Yeah, the first step was before the map pool change came in, before we had Tuscan. Have you played on Tuscan much? What do you think about
I played a lot of Tuscan.
What do you think about it?
I played a lot of Tuscan back in the day too, right? I love Tuscan.
Big fan. You think even now in the modern era that underpass is a legit thing, or is it just like this weird like growth that should be iced off? What do you think?
I think I can see the reason for it. I mean, the thing is, with mollies, it's not as important because without mollies, the box like across from sewer is really hard to deal with no mollies. Someone could just sit there with an op and just fuck you permanently, right? And so with no mollies, there's nothing you can really do to deal with that. With mollies, you can probably cross that angle and just molly off the wall and get them somehow, right? So it might not be quite as necessary, because that's, I think, why the sewer was kind of necessary. I don't know. I don't want to try and pretend that I fucking can see the future, and know.
Yeah.
I know not a lot of people go sewer, but not a lot of people went sewer in Source either. I know the standard default in Source was like 2-2-1. You went one sewer, sometimes nobody sewer, sometimes one sewer. And you just like held SA1, SA2, because aggression on Tuscan is really, really powerful. To take SA2, which is the B side, like lobby area, right? It's really powerful. It's hard to deal with. And I also think there's just this ridiculous gap between people that know the map and people that don't know the map.
Sure,
it's like you haven't ever seen before, except for the very beginning of CSGO. But that was when the game just came out, right? You haven't seen this gap in knowledge before. So people are really complaining about it. I like the map. I think a map where you need to get aggressive, I think that's a good thing. I think it's a change up in the map pool. It doesn't operate like the other maps. I think that's a good thing. I think having something that plays different, I don't think that's a negative, even if people don't like it.
Well, that's been the thing that I keep saying, is that we're really primed for a change in the map pool at this point. It doesn't matter if it's perfect and ready. It's not like Vertigo and Ancient were perfect and ready. They're still not really ready, in my opinion. So yeah, give us something new. The question is our Valve actually going to part with their fucking problem children, or are they going to?
No, they're going to remove Overpass. I'm telling you right now. They're going to remove Overpass. It's not even up for debate. It's definitely going to be Overpass. By all the reasons that they removed Train, they're going to remove Overpass.
Well, the reason why people were reverse engineering for Train was because of the low play times, but Vertigo and Ancient
I don't think anyone predicted Train.
Yeah.
It's just like we're going back.
Yeah.
But using the same logic from Train, not played a lot in matchmaking, not played a lot at the top pro scene, Overpass. Other Ancient and Vertigo are lower, but they're not going to remove those, so it's Overpass.
No, that's interesting, because I think as well, like we talked about this a little bit, didn't we? Where it's like they have a bit of a tendency, it feels like, in the more recent maps to move towards more aggressive play. I think even if they decide, Anubis comes in, a few people have said, oh, well, Anubis plays a little bit better out of the gate. That's maybe because it's had more like test time in CS.
It's more like the current meta of maps too. It's not like a drastic, overhaul or whatever. I recently took a look at Breach as well, which would be similar to Cash in that it's very different actually from what you would be used to. But I also think that's a symptom of not optimizing at the pro level. Like Mirage would seem really CT sided if nobody knew to smoke top mid or window from T spawn, right? Because how am I ever going to cross that gap? People haven't found the smokes on Breach because it's not an official map. Same deal for Tuscan, although the nades that you can throw seem pretty limited. And it's a little bit benefiting from the fact that it is an old soul map. And Anubis obviously is the same way. So maybe they would all be very, very different. I don't know. It's like an impossible counterfactual. But it would be nice if, honestly, just give me all three of those and take out whatever you like. I want something different to look forward to. Obviously not in the middle of the major cycle, I should stress. Valve have made that mistake before with Train and Ancient, but,
I think for me, I think we'll probably see it maybe post-major, maybe into the new year. I think that if they want to bring it post-major, then a map like Tuscan would make a bit more sense if that's what they're wanting to go for on their own remit, you know, and not really considering super high level play as much. I think it still needs a bit of work to be done, personally. But I don't know. Ancient probably needed a fair bit of work from the get go, but they just slammed it right in there. Yeah.
That's the concern, because when they added Cobblestone and Overpass, they changed those maps a lot.
Yep.
Pretty quickly, if I remember. I mean, I could be misremembering, but I think they changed it pretty actively. Yeah. And they've been fucking fumbling the ball with Ancient. I mean, even the one-way spam that they admitted was not intentional took, what, 3, 4, 5 months to fix? Like, that is fucking unacceptable. The bomb plant zones were blatantly fucked from day one. Day one. It took, how long did it take? 6+ months.
It was almost half a year, I think.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Fucking crazy. I would when I want new maps, but more importantly, if they're gonna add new maps, they have to be more fucking active with the adjustments they're making. They just have to be. Yeah. It's crazy.
Sure.
It's really genuinely, it's fucking crazy how slow they are.
Yeah, I mean, I will say when Ancient came out, I feel like there was a few more issues. I don't know how many people really work on like the balance team, right? So we had like a few gun issues and things. The Deagle, I think, might have been around that time. Changed in that update, maybe the Ancient got added.
It was somewhere around there where they decided to make it so that you can't just spam 2 body shots.
Right. Yeah. And then the A1S, and then they added the nade dropping stuff. Like, there were quite a few updates in a short period of time. So I do think as well, maybe team's a bit smaller, so we'd think they're working on Source 2. So, you know, that takes up a lot of time, hopefully. So, you know, I think there is also that you can kind of look towards in the current spin of CSGO compared to Mirage and Overpass. Like, and also you've got a bit more of a blueprint now for maybe how they want to work their way through maps and what kind of maps they want to design, even if it is, you know, questionable. I don't know. I think the thing for me though, like, sorry to keep going. No, the thing for me is like, on the top level, right? Vertigo and Ancient, Vertigo especially doesn't really play all that well spectator wise. But when you are like on the server as a semi-competitive kind of player, I actually think that Vertigo and Ancient are 2 of the more fun maps. And I'm talking about like where the vast demographic of people are at. Not even like, it's got to be like LEM and below, right? Where you maybe have a bit of an idea of how the game works. You know how to click the heads and shit. You know, smoke.
You think those 2 are fun at that level, or those are fun at the high level?
At that level. So I think that's something
nobody plays Ancient though. I like.
Yeah, the playtimes are tiny is the thing. Like that's what is an argument against your point there, I think.
Yeah. Part of the reason I don't play Ancient very much is because I have not yet played an Ancient game where someone on my team hasn't said, I've never played Ancient before.
Yeah.
And I specifically on Facebook don't ban Ancient. Well, for like the first 6 months of Ancient, I didn't. I was like, I'm not going to ban Ancient. We go to Ancient. I'm fine with that. Let's have fun. Now it's like, do I want a coin flip or not? You know, it's like, because nobody fucking plays it. And I think that's going to be how it works for any heavily CT sided map. That's new. I think that's always going to work like that, to be honest.
And I think based on the meta and also the default way that most people make maps, it's going to be CT sided from the get-go for a while. I think Tuscan is really the same way. I mean, maybe you can counter this, Vu, if you disagree, but I feel like Tuscan is the same way, where it's like Ancient in that it's CT sided where you want to get aggressive, but not like Ancient in that you have fallback positions. Whereas in Ancient, it's just take early contest and then you fall back into the bomb site and that's it. Actually, you can't like scale multiple times, right?
I actually don't know if it's going to be that CT sided. I don't know. I'm just
yeah. When it's installed, right?
I feel like T's can cut off rotations pretty well on that map. It feels
if you don't play aggressive as a CT, you cannot hold the whole map. There's way too much shit.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they've added like, okay, you can throw a smoke from T spawn to top mid. So if you just toss one of those that the guy pushing mid can't get support, you beat them to the corner to bounce a molly off the wall into mid from SA2. You can kind of nullify most mid aggressions with that. You can also beat them to snake to molly that off. There's a window above that you can flash snake if they're swinging that. I feel like you should, in theory, be able to counter most CT aggressions. And then
it's just going to take a lot of utility, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is you can't really use utility as an exec because of all the walls. Like you have to find you have to be in the position to do the hit instead of being far away like on other maps. So it almost doesn't matter that you have less utility because you can't even really throw it from a distance anyway.
Yeah, and then on CT side, you kind of have to play like one CPL, one A, one mid area, to B, right? Which is like you don't have enough players to hold A. You don't have enough players to hold both sides of B. You don't have enough players to hold the spots you're supposed to hold. So it's like I know. But then again, I could see B being a retake because there's nowhere to fucking hide.
Yeah.
They took out a lot of the boxes you would hide behind on afterplants in Source. And then you can flash over and you're just gonna blind everybody. So you could definitely retake B. So I don't know. I think it's not my area expertise. I'm just gonna throw my hands up. Yeah, I don't know if it's definitely gonna be CT sided, but hard to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the point that Vu made earlier about the fact that Ancient was like this for a long time and took forever to be corrected and stuff is, to me, I think a great argument to get some community mappers in because they will respond to feedback more. They are public facing to some degree. You can find their profiles, their Twitters, and you can. So I mean,
but then you gotta like pay them money.
I think importantly is that I'm sorry to say I think the community and the pro scene especially has shown that they can't be trusted with changes that they want, and Valve has probably felt vindicated on that many a time, and so they're actually just digging in their heels even more and going more and more in that direction, and I think they've overshot it because I do agree that pros can't really be trusted in their feedback too often, but Valve is like, it seems like they've gone all the way. We need this much data to do it, right? We need this much data to make a change. And it's like they've dug their feet in a little too much. I think they're right in that you can't trust the pros. And that's the concern I would have with community mappers if they're like taking feedback, trying to like appease the pro players and appease the community. But
you'd have to be really stoic about how you interpret the feedback. That's for sure. Because you have to basically say like, okay, is this a problem? Is it a problem for the reasons they say it is, so on and so forth. You have to really like interpret that very specifically, very carefully, I think. So yeah, no, it's true. I mean, there's a potential pitfall there too, but I feel like it's, maybe I'm taking the devil I don't know over the devil I do in this case, but it just feels like it's better to err on that side, experiment that way, see if it gets better. Because I feel like I've played way better maps from community members than I have from Valve, and that's just been true for a long time now. But again, I'm not a pro, and I don't have a pro team scrimming on it over and over again, so maybe that's not true. Maybe it would fall apart at the high level, but then you could still iterate on it, and it's not like the maps that Valve have been putting out haven't been falling apart for years now. So it would be nice. It
would indeed. But you can't always get what you want, Yeah, I don't know, bro. I feel like it's pretty open. It's pretty open to what they remove, in my opinion. Like you can probably throw it. Like we'd like Vertigo seems to be a good consensus from higher level fans and players and whatnot.
Everybody that I've ever placed, yes, everybody agrees.
But I don't know. Dust 2 maybe, but it's just way too popular and it's been done recently, so it would be a bit weird for them to.
Mirage is real popular too, right? It's like especially in the low end PC.
Yeah, for sure.
They play Mirage mostly now, so.
For sure. But Mirage is it's a good control, I think. Like if we're talking about pro level CS, it's a nice control of what you can do with a map, and it's got potential for heavy executes, potential to work around and mix up those executes, potential to indeed just play it aim based. Blah blah blah. So I think that Mirage is a really good control. Personally,
Simple says it's the best map in the pool.
At the minute, I could probably agree. I probably would have said Inferno in the past, but since nade dropping, not so much. Definitely staled out a little. Dust 2 also for me because of nade dropping. We didn't talk about it much with Snappy, but Dust 2 is sort of a subtler one. Like B feels a hell of a lot easier to play now, along with the the change at mid. You can just kind of 2-1-2 pretty comfortably. Or even 2-3 and just keep eyes on mid when the execute kind of comes in, and you can have that anchor like rotate smokes around in tunnels. So tunnels is like, we barely ever see anyone try like a straight up tunnel sit, to be honest. So I think there's a lot of space. Nuke the best map? Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah. It's the new Inferno.
Yeah, sure.
Well, it's just because you can do so much with it. The sound issues are still there, but they're way better since the changes to the footstep, like the material that you're walking on kind of gives you a bit of a hint.
Yeah.
And the sound update from like 2014 or whatever it was that helped out a lot too. But yeah, it's definitely one of those that seems to deliver. When teams, like the thing is, when you allow it into the map pool at the pro level, you're both pretty comfortable on it usually. Like it's rarely picked as like a surprise punish or whatever. I guess there's the infamous like FaZe versus Cloud9 where they just fucked up the veto. I still can't believe that was real, but whatever. It's like, somebody absent-minded there a little bit. Poor Groove. But yeah, so that's probably it. Like, for the most part, Nuke delivers because when you get to it, both teams can play it at a high level. We think of like obviously FaZe Na'Vi recently, so in that best of 5, one of the only good best of 5s, perhaps. Didn't talk about that because that was before the show started, but still.
Okay.
I think you had a good point, by the way, that Inferno's been kind of fucked by the nade dropping.
Yeah.
I hadn't really thought about that necessarily, but I definitely
agreed
agreed that the nade dropping makes it really weird because, for example, if you look at the FaZe final when it was like 15-14 or whatever, they go back A, I think they're trying to hit B, but then there's a 4-3 smoke at top banana and they're like, fuck it, go back A. And it's like, yeah, I can see how that could be a fucking problem. I can sympathize with this. This might not be great.
Yeah, well, it's just banana is such a hellscape because you just get naded and you get like there's so much utility, which was always the case, to be fair. But you used to have to rotate a third person over if you wanted to throw 3 nades CT side. Now you can do it a little bit more delayed instead of starting 3 people there, but you can still dump the nades so that they can keep doing it. It's like you might not get it all at once now, but you still get it sporadically, and you get more than you would have otherwise, where people can just drop the nades, and then they're on their way. If they do it fast enough, they can be on their way back through spawn and grab a flash or something, because the buy time hasn't expired. It's stuff like that where it's just like, I don't know, man. There's a little bit of extra shit there that the CTs have that makes it that much harder for Ts to do anything. So it does definitely feel like, it doesn't reflect it in the scores necessarily. It's still fairly even, but it's just one of those things where I don't think it plays well, and I don't think it looks good for the viewer either to constantly be faceful of utility all the time. So that's one of those things where I think Inferno's just not aged well, So
sure, it's always been a bit of a bastion of like where the meta's at, though. I think, which is really cool that Inferno's like dead center in the middle of, where we're at as a game in terms of what is strong and in terms of what type of style works, whether it's like sort of explosive or even in the early days, like it added a lot more of these like drawn out baiting smoke type executes that I think we saw like creep into other maps like Overpass and Dust 2 and things. So I like Inferno, but it is a bit fuacked at the moment for sure.
Does Liquid win any events with their new roster? Yes or no? Immediately, right before the end. I know you're trying to end the podcast. I can hear it.
No.
Where is Liquid ranked in 3 months with this roster?
8th.
Yes, I was going to say solid 7, yeah.
Bro, suck my dick, 8th. What is wrong with you? Fucking top fucking 10 at least.
What?
Yeah, that's what it is.
I think you like didn't want to put a solid number on.
I was gonna say 5, and I was like, no,
I don't think so. Yekindar, we love him.
Number 5, number 4,
yeah.
5.
But Yekindar love him. He's getting the bag, sick, right?
It's not sustainable though.
I think at the moment it's probably one of the. We used to talk about it all the time. It doesn't really get talked about as much, right? Especially because like roster moves are a bit more regimented now, rather than you'd pick up a player before a big event. We now have a bit more of a defined time when it's like, right, you've got time off to consider your options that you've been thinking about during the regular season or whatever. See who's going, get the offers in. I think this is like the honeymoon period. For this team, to be honest. And, he's great energy. He's a big personality as well as a big fragger on the server. And yeah, I think that'll eventually drop off once teams start to get a read on how Yekindar is functioning in this team. Because it's also like a role change for him as well, right? Like it looks like. So,
well, it just doesn't make sense, Skriv. It's like all the interviews are basically like giving him full credit for all of their success. And Elige is like, dude, Yekindar is calling sometimes, and he's like providing us with all these ideas, and he's fixing our team structure, and he's fragging for us too. And it's like, okay, man, Yekindar's good, but I don't think you're gonna say that. Like, you can't sell me on the idea that one player is going to permanently fix everything about this roster.
I think I'm gonna be honest. I think a lot of their interviews were trying to convince their org to get Yukindar.
Might have been true.
That's really what it came out like, where they were playing with him when he was a stand-in. It's like Yukindar is literally Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
Without Yukindar, we will lose permanently. We have no chance. But with Yukindar, anything is possible. We could win the next major. I think they were a little bit trying to sell Team Liquid on it. I think Yukindar is like Stewie 2K except better. It's everything you wish Stewie 2K was, but he never really kind of actually was, is Yukindar. But the problem is, this isn't Team Liquid 2018, was it? Where it's like number 2 every event. Add Stewie, win everything. It's like this is Liquid where they were number low in every event, and then you add Stewie, and then see where that goes. They've got potential, right? I think Yukindar is absolutely the spice they need, because they got a lot of passive players. They got a lot of players that like don't want to do shit. That's why Stewie 2K was such an important addition. I don't know if Yukindar, even though he's just fucking he is like better Stewie 2K. I don't know if he's gonna solve everything, but I'll give him some time, because I don't think what happened by the way, I don't think any rifler over 1.3 rating is sustainable ever. It's just you never get that with rifles. It's just not. It just doesn't happen. But maybe they adjust. Maybe that sparks a light in them.
Yeah, I mean, as well, OC's kind of come into his own a little bit more as well, right? Post player break, so I feel like that's something where the bar was a bit lower when we left off, and then he's come in and he looks a bit better, so that's also going to elevate. But it's not necessarily that he's like taking over games or being a world-ending AWPer. He's just at a bit more of a satisfactory kind of level.
Well, Lige also has come back. NAF is maybe a little bit sharper too, it looks like. And I think this change has reinvigorated them for sure, as much as we meme on the interviews. But I think at the very least, you can say this is a return to top 10 Liquid, like Liquid comfortably in the top 10, especially as they currently are. And it's a true ranking.
Top 10, bro. They're at least top 9. Okay, minimum top 9. Okay,
so we've got 7, 8, 9. I'm the most positive out of this view. I just want you to know that.
No, I think they'll be 4th, 5th. I think that's
okay. I think money where your mouth is.
I think it's on OC. Honestly, I think personally, the sky's the limit with OC. I'm fully sold on OC. I think the way he plays is super sustainable, super, like, he can definitely maintain that at a very high level. I think OC could be what everyone thinks Skadoodle was, because he wasn't. But I think he could be what everyone thinks Skadoodle was, which is like an actual potential top 10, top 15 AWPer in NA, in not this year, maybe in the future, And if that happens, maybe not top 1, all right, but no, they could be top. They could 4th or 5th, 3rd to 5th. I mean, fuck, they're better than Astralis probably.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would always take the over/under there. Yeah, better than Maus, which were recently number 5. Yeah,
that'd be
only got kicked down the pecking order because they made a roster change. How could they? How could they lose top 5? But I do have to say that I think if you're going to say that OC is who everybody wanted Skadoodle to be, if you're going to say Yukindar is who you wanted Stewie 2K to be, I have to wonder if OC is actually the AWPer that you want to see give the interview that Junior gave, where he said that every AWPer should play like me. I think this is the style every AWPer should play. So. I'll never forget that one, man. Rest in peace.
I mean, OC just like, he plays positionally well, and he can hit quick shots, and he missed a. Okay, I would describe him as someone that typically, from when I like studied him before he joined Liquid, he didn't miss. When he joined Liquid, he missed a good amount. but I don't think that. I think that was kind of like you just join a new team. You're not quite used to it. Sure. You're not quite there yet. Maybe you're a bit nervous. You're uncomfortable. Whatever. I think he's going to be the guy that's like. Actually, I think in my mind, again, I haven't watched too much OC recently. I did quite a bit of research before he joined Liquid. In my mind, he can be kind of like Alu. I think he could be another Alu. I think like can play aggressive, but can also play positionally and hit all the shots. He can do a lot of stuff. I think he's similar to Alu potentially.
Just what they need. They need
peak Alu, not balls. Whatever the fuck Alu's doing now.
He's got a team. Yano. They're a team.
If he didn't have a team, I would have believed you also.
Well, I just can't remember. I can't keep track of all these like projects of the old greats. You know, you got Eyeballers, Titans, Sampy for Guardian.
Titans was the word.
Titans is such a whack
that
name.
That is the talking counter equivalent of CS:GO teams.
Yeah. What if Titan, but with an S, because we are more than one. So ridiculous.
Yeah. And then also,
not even a French team anyway.
They're also not really in their current form. They're more.
Yeah, also true.
Yeah.
We should. You know what? You heard of Goliath, but maybe we should just call our team Davids because that's how we. Fuck off. Man. And that's it. I think that's the.
Yeah. I think there you go. A nice. What is it? Some guy who wrote that? I don't know.
What? Are you talking about the Bible? What the fuck are you saying? Some guy, Jesus.
David and Goliath's not from the Bible, is it?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yes, the answer is yes. All right, there you go. You know, so these are the types of things.
If you enjoyed the podcast, check out this video here. We put it on the TV so you would understand to click. This is a 68-inch TV. Brilliant TV. It's great. Look at the definition on that. Absolutely amazing. Click on this video right now. Right now, motherfucker. And you can swear near the end of a video, and it doesn't really do anything to the algorithm. You're pretty safe.
And now I have to figure out how to do that. So there you go. But that's the new outro at the very least, I suppose.
You just size it correctly, you know.
Yeah, well, I'm hopeless with editing software. I won't lie to you. So, you know.
Oh, you know what?
You can do that. It was your idea.
Hold on. Stay on hold. Let me hit you with a real outro. All right, I'm gonna hit you with a real outro.
Here we go. It would be funny if he just never comes back. Obviously.
Oh god, I know what this is. Yeah.
He's actually gonna green screen us? Is this what this is? Yep, I knew it. Here we go.
Hold on.
Oh god, okay. He's getting okay. This is the kind of content. Come back to the stream, guys. This is the kind of content you'll miss.
I don't know, man. This is like a horror movie almost.
It's not working. It's not working.
How long is this gonna go?
Oh god.
That's not even the right tone of a green screen.
Okay, there we
go. Did you enjoy this content? Because I did. So click on this video right here. You're gonna. You're gonna love this video right here. You're gonna love it. Check it out right now.
All right.
Okay. So there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential in there.
You get all that script?
Yeah. No. I was thinking. At first, I was thinking, all right, great. Here's the content. We do the muted one with like the audio maybe from earlier or the audio that we just got. But I think we've got a few that we can use there. Yeah. So, you know, the one gimmick of the show is where are the guests going to be or whatever. The other gimmick of the show is which VOO outro will you get?
Completely unreasonable.
You know, I have to crouch down really weirdly when I do those.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, I can imagine. And that was on the fly. So respect.
Well, you know, I can set it up quick. I wanted to get one that drops down from the ceiling. I mean, this is so small, right? Like it's whatever, you know, it works.
It does the job. That's all.
Use the TikTok of VOO's shoulder peeking. That is a good one. That is a good one.
We got plenty in the can.
Yeah, we really do. But this is going to be a lot of work cutting this up. All right, but it's what we do it for. And also, we're here on a Thursday. I think the past few we've done on a weekend, and then I like to get them out on like a Monday or whatever, and it's you know, bad timing. So I've got a few more days. I got a free weekend.
There you go.
It's probably going to take me all weekend, so that's good.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Now time for the real end. Thanks very much for watching. If you watch this entire thing, get help. Because I don't know how you could sit through each and every second of it, but nonetheless, thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you again next week.